Walker, and I've got two very special guests in front of me. I've got Louis Theroux, of course, TV documentary king, and I've got the godfather of screen doc making. That's Nick Broomfield. Guys, we're at Sheffield DocFest. What are we doing here? What's happening?
Well, I am about to interview Nick, which is a great honour for me, about his illustrious career. And so we'll be showing some clips and talking to Nick about how he came to make his documentaries, what he's working on, and the fact that he's got a new film out about Whitney Houston.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you about that. Before I do that, I'll just remind people you're actually going to be on stage here at the Crucible. We're backstage at present. This is where the snooker normally takes place. It's been taken over by DocFest this weekend. And at 3:30 now, I gather that it's almost a delegates only. I think it's pretty much all sold out, but I think there's a few standby tickets. So if you want to get yourselves down here, 3:30, you've only got half an hour to get down here. And Nick, can I say then, this is a precursor for what's coming later today for you, up at the City Hall. You've got a special screening. Can you tell us about it, this new documentary?
Well, it just came from there. It's quite formidable, actually. It's an enormous theatre, about 2,000 seats, and it's a real production. So I've slightly got the jitters. To be quite honest.
I'm just going to remind people as well. This is called Whitney. Can I Be Me? So it's about the American song queen Whitney Houston. Can you just tell us a little bit about it? I mean, what are you looking at? All her life? Are you looking at the tragedy, the highs, the lows? What's it about?
Well, you never really know what it's going to be about when you go into it. I think to summarise the finished film, it's a very loving portrait of Whitney, who's somebody I've come to admire enormously in the course of making the film. I think it's a celebration of her, as well as being very, very moving in a very tragic way.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Nick, just to remind people, I mean, you're famed for your political and showbiz documentaries. Why Whitney Houston? I mean, has she always had something special?
I'm always asked this question, why did you do that? And it's like 2 years down the pipe. I can't honestly, I always try to rationalise why I did it. I guess I just thought she would make a great film.
Yeah.
I knew very little about Whitney. I wasn't a fan at first. I'm an enormous fan now. But I guess I thought she would just make an amazing story. And
I'm sure it is. I can't wait to see it. If you're not watching it here in Sheffield, you can actually watch it in cinemas. It's being screened all over the country, is that right?
It's unbelievable. It's all over the UK. Well, you did that with your film, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You're the inspiration, I think, for this telecast.
That's very kind. It's a terrific film, I should say, as well. And might surprise a few people in its approach. If you're familiar with Nick's work, it may not be quite what you expect, and perhaps is all the more moving for that.
I've got to ask you, Louis, then, the precursor to this is this 3:30 where you're going to be chatting to Nick. This isn't just about this film, this is about his entire career, is it?
Yeah, Nick's entire oeuvre, going all the way back to some of his earliest work, probably in the 80s, wasn't it? When was it?
Yeah,
maybe the late 70s?
Well, yeah.
Do you know what? We just off camera were having a little chat earlier, and I mentioned that Louis had been a big inspiration to me. Has Nick been an inspiration to you, Louis?
Absolutely, as he has to an entire generation, or even, I don't want to make Nick feel too old, but probably a couple of generations.
I am getting very old.
And is one of the it occupies a almost unique place in documentaries, certainly in British documentary, for being a sort of recognisable icon of documentary filmmaker. There aren't many doc makers you could identify. If you bumped into them in the street, but Nick is one of that small breed.
Well, just to remind people, Driving Me Crazy, Biggie and Tupac. I mean, amazing documentaries. Do you think you've done the same with Whitney? Is that going to go down in folklore documentary history?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I love being called a small breed, though. That's nice. I like the word breed.
Kind of rare breed.
A rare breed. Anyway, yes, I hope so. I mean, of course, one always hopes that you've made a film that's going to be iconic and that is a really truthful portrait and a balanced portrait of someone.
Yeah, and if they can't see this today, not here in Sheffield or at the cinemas, is it going to be released on DVD? Is it going to be on Sky? Is it going out there soon?
Well, the BBC have been they co-commissioned the film. The BBC are showing the film in September. And I want to also say what an amazing institution I think the BBC is, and how lucky we are to have them here,
Absolutely.
and how we should fight to preserve it.
We're also lucky, Louis, to have Sheffield DocFest, aren't we? And I know both of you are a bit of stalwarts here. You've been back before, and I hope you're going to come back again. What's so special about Sheffield DocFest, and why important is it that we have this, and here in Sheffield?
Well, it's UK's #1 documentary festival. So if you love documentaries, this is the mecca, really. Would you agree?
Definitely.
So whether or not you were taking part of it, you'd try and get anyway, would you? I mean, is it that? Is it a bit like coming to Disney World for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can come and gorge on films that you might not get a chance to see otherwise, which is great.
And of course, look, you were talking about recognisable documentary makers. I guess you're pretty much top of the tree, you and Nick together. What's coming up next? What are you doing?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I am doing, I occupy a slightly less rarefied sphere than Nick does. I'm a jobbing TV documentary presenter. And so, which is pros and cons, but one of the pros is that I get to make 3 hours a year. It's more if you get to, I have to, otherwise I don't really get paid. But so I've got 3 docs coming up on BBC Two later this year about crime in America.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, listen, can't wait for that. And I'm hoping that next year, perhaps, you're both going to come back, Nick, and you might interview Louis. How about that one?
I would love to do that. I would enjoy that.
That would be a great honour for me. I won't hold you to it.
There you go. No. Exclusive. You heard it here first. I'm just going to remind everybody. Sheffield DocFest, 9th to the 14th of June. So that's Wild Wednesday. Got some great things happening. Full links at the bottom of his Facebook live stream. You've been listening to Graham Walker. I've got Louis and Nick. And I'm at Sheffield DocFest. Thank you ever so much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Where's that?
There's people actually watching that. That's